Hello, everyone. My name is Coach Nav. I'm a part of Basketball Saskatchewan. This is our fourth and final Q&A session with head coach of University of Regina women's basketball program, Dave Taylor. Dave, thank you for taking part in this. And we have also two former U17 basketball players of the girls program, Maren Tunison and Mattea Hamilton. Mattea recently finished up her career at Sheldon Williams, and Maren finished up her career at Leboldus. Both of them were selected to be a part of the Basketball Saskatchewan High School All-Star Game. Congrats, ladies. And I guess I'll be seeing you guys in the fall at University of Regina, correct?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So with everything being said, you guys can take it away. And
Okay, Dave, so I have the first question for you. Why did you decide to become a coach?
I think I like feeding my competitive side, and I went into education. I was teaching, so I wanted to stay involved in sports and in basketball specifically, and so coaching allowed me to do that. And just the more I did it, the more I found that I loved it.
Okay, I'm up next. What personality traits do you think make you specifically a good coach?
Well, I think I'm very competitive. I think as a coach, you have to be. I think I'm analytical, so I can look at big picture things. And I think I'm, either caring, like I want to see players strive to be their best and develop into their best. So all of those things, and just being able to be adaptable to, coaching. I've been at the U of R now. It's been 28 years as a head coach and assistant coach, and it's certainly changed there, and you have to adapt.
Awesome. Third question is, if you weren't a coach, what would you be doing?
I could still be teaching. I was a high school teacher for a while, and I taught. I'd probably be doing something either in teaching or training. I'd looked at doing some corporate training, some stuff like that. So it'd either be involved in some kind of training or teaching history.
Why history?
Well, I just love history. I've always liked to read, and I just think you learn a lot from the past, and I find it interesting being able to look back. And even right now, everything going on in the world right now with the pandemic, it's going to be incredibly interesting to analyze it when you can look back. And in the moment, it's tougher to do that, but it's always fascinating to me to look back and to see why people made choices and what the world was like in different times.
For sure. What is one thing that you would say is different in the game of basketball now from when you started coaching?
Well, I think players just start earlier. They start doing a lot more earlier with, club basketball. There was always provincial team before, but it started at a younger age. The skill development is earlier. It's become and sometimes maybe to the detriment, but it's become a year-round sport much earlier. And so I just think the level of skill is certainly more now. My alumni get mad at me for saying this, but players have just, like, and you two are good examples. You started so young and you do so much. It's not like there's ever really a big off season now.
What type of player do you like to coach and watch, and why?
I just think players who play with passion. You always notice that. And obviously, we all like to watch talented players, but just players who play with, have some fire to them. And, in a good way, not lose control, but just enjoy what they're doing. And they play hard, and they're good teammates. And you can tell they just enjoy playing the game.
Okay, what is your favorite part of the game to coach?
Well, obviously, you get to interact with so many people, and it's athletes, it's the referees, it's fans, it's different. So that's a big part of it. And also, and this is maybe going back to my teaching side, I love the teaching side of it. and just watching people get better and trying to, and I think the analytical side of it is probably covers a lot of stuff. Is I love thinking about, how do you get better? How do you make the players better? How do you prepare for a team? The chess match of basketball. And I used the example a couple of years ago, we played U of S late in the year and we swept them. We threw something at them that they weren't ready for and didn't handle great. And then I knew, Coach Tomitis is such a good coach. I knew when we played him a couple of weeks later, she was going to have that solved. And it's kind of that chess match of trying to guess what's going to come next. And I just enjoy that and laying out the year and thinking, the next few years of the big picture stuff. So I really enjoy that. That's why I've gotten so big into analytics, I think, too, with the numbers and that. But just the overall figuring out a way to make players better, but also then how to prepare your team. So I guess it's the technical, tactical, but also the relationships.
What do you look for in players when you're actively recruiting?
Again, the first thing is, hey, I'll be honest, as a coach, to play university basketball, there's a certain level of talent you have to have. So the talent obviously comes first, but that's not the sole thing. From there, you start to look at character, and that becomes a separator. Is, if they have the talent, do they have the type of character? So are they good teammates? How do they conduct themselves on the bench? How do they handle adversity? And from there, do they love to train? I've always said, if you could look inside somebody's brain and see what kind of work ethic they had, you'd be able to tell if they're going to be successful. So and I always tell recruits, when I recruit somebody, I don't just talk to them and their coach. I talk to all kinds of people I know, who've coached against them, who've coached them in the past. So obviously there's certain talent things we're looking for in terms of being able to shoot the ball, fundamental skills, athletic skills. But then the next step kind of in the pyramid we look for is that character, is what kind, I got to spend 5 years with that person. And I always look at them and go, do I want to walk in the gym for, 200 times during the year for 5 years and walk in the gym and spend a couple hours with that person? That's a big, big thing to me.
Okay. What is one piece of advice you would pass on to all the young basketball players in Saskatchewan?
Well, what I tell people, even when I'm recruiting them and say, they'll often ask, well, what do I need to work on? And it's funny, I've just almost become the same two things. Shoot the ball, be able to shoot the ball well, and defend. And I always go with, especially young players, and this has been 24 years with our program. And I always say in that time, there's probably been 2 players who've come in as rookies and who could defend well. And it's there's so much involved in it, including just desire, but they have to work on becoming better defenders. Oftentimes they're used to being the best player and they just are more athletic than other people and they get away with things. And then shooting the ball, and it's putting in the time shooting the ball, it's being able to shoot off and find space, and then it's being able to validate it. Like, it's great if you're a great shooter and you can go in the gym and players will say, hey, when I go in the gym, I hit really high percentage. I go, okay, now in a game, when it's live, because that's the mental part of shooting. Can you hit shots when it's live like that? That's incredibly important. And those 2 things allow you, when you come into university, to get on the court. It's tough, in Saskatchewan with the strength of the programs we have for players coming out of high school to find minutes right away. And if you can play a role, if you can defend, that gets you on the court. If you can go out and knock shots down, that gets you on the court. Doing those things, if you can rebound. So find some things that you can do really well that get you on the court and you can develop. But again, young players, work on shooting the ball and work on defending.
Could you explain your coaching philosophy to us in 3 words?
Well, you're killing me with only 3 words. Probably
you'll meet with next.
Yeah, enjoy the process. I'm a big believer in, if you're going to play 5 years and it's a lot of time, we ask a lot of our players, a lot of time commitment, you have to enjoy it. And I've always said the moment that I don't enjoy going into the gym as a coach, I won't coach anymore. And I think that's for players too, is just enjoy the process of getting better. And if you push yourself, and this is young players too, and that's part of the fun of it, is just getting better. But there's nothing better than going before, practice, spending some time with your teammates in the locker room. Those are the memories you always have. Going out on the court, working hard, but also enjoying yourself. And then that feeling when you walk off the court, I think, is one of the great feelings as a coach or a player. When you walk off the court and you go, that was a great practice. Like, I'm tired, but I got better. Like, and as a player, as a coach, where you put it all out there and you got better. And that's just so much fun. And when you put those back to back to back, you're going to see the results. But yeah, just enjoy the process.
And then can I challenge you to do it in one word, or is that too much of a task? Your philosophy in one word.
Well, I don't know if this is so much my philosophy, but it's just what's important to me. If you ask any of my players who've ever played for me, what's the most important thing to me in basketball? And you two probably know this because you played for me with junior Cougar stuff. Rebound, right? You have to be able to rebound for me. And rebound takes on a bunch of different things. It's not just the act of rebounding, but it's the desire to rebound. It's the relentlessness of rebounding. It's rebound from things that goes wrong. So it's not just the physical act of rebounding, but hey, things aren't going well in the game. Can you rebound? You've got a little bit of adversity. Can you rebound? But to me, in basketball, rebounding is such an important thing. And so it's not necessarily my coaching philosophy so much as what is just at this core of me as a coach. Like, if you can't rebound, you can't play for me, because we just won't get along.
Okay. What does your preparation look like the week before playing a team? So what do the coaches do versus what do the players do? How does it all come together?
Well, I always bug the players. They always just come into practice and film and do that. It's all the behind the scenes work with the coaches and assistant coaches. So if we're preparing for a team, we've watched probably 5 to 7 to 8 games of theirs in the past, specific games, and we've broken down tape. So we'll watch a ton of tape, and sometimes over and over again, to come up with a game plan. And then we'll condense that down to about 20 minutes of tape. So on a Monday, we'll practice, but we're also more trying to fix our own stuff on Monday. Tuesday, we'll start the prep for the new team that we're going to play, and we'll start talking about that. We'll probably show them some tape that day. We'll spend, we'll still practice as normal, but we'll spend some time starting to introduce some things that team does that we have to stop. And then Wednesday's probably our biggest prep day. That's when we'll review the film or show them some, individuals. And we go over not only team concepts that they're doing, but what do individuals do? And that's when we'll get the matchups. We'll start talking, we'll run through some of their sets, things like that. And again, we'll clean up some things we need to clean up. And then you want to focus on getting better and better. But I'd say Tuesday and Wednesday are our big days, because Monday, oftentimes, depending when we're coming off the weekend with travel and that, it's more focused on us. Tuesday, Wednesday are what I call the compete days, where we can go really hard. We're preparing. And especially a lot of times we do what we call Compete Wednesday, where everything's a competition, and we want to play. And then Thursday, it's more, we should have everything in place by Thursday. And so Thursday is kind of a review. It's more, getting us in a good mental space for the game, shooting, etc. And then Friday, we'll have a game day shoot. We'll play them that night. And then Saturday, depending how Friday's game went, we'll make some adjustments. We'll show them film on Saturday. And then depending on, sometimes we'll do a game day shoot. Some days we won't. Some days we're more worried about recovery. So it's making adjustments for, Saturday. In years we've been good. If we won a lot of Friday games, it's kind of trying to guess what they're going to do to adjust. Last year when we weren't as good, oftentimes it was us who was trying to adjust to things.
So the next question is, what other goals do you have within a season for your team other than winning a championship?
Well, yeah, like the championship is just a result. And obviously, you know, you want good results, but I go back to the process. So we have some very specific process goals that we want to get better. And we have, you know, you have to have, I'm a big believer in all your goals have to be measurable. You know, we want to be a good defensive team. So we have some very set defensive things that we do in terms of where we want to hold teams' shooting percentage, where our rebounding wants to be. Same thing with offense. But those are results. And ultimately what you want to do is you want to move yourself as far along the process and get better and better. And oftentimes that'll put you in a good position. But it's also, you know, to obviously have success, yes, but it's also to develop, to get better as basketball players, be better teammates, get better just academically, everything. It's that growth. Like the difference with first year players coming in and fifth year when they leave is just night and day in their development. And that's important. And then the last thing, and I touched on it before about the enjoyment, is you want to have fun. Like, and it's not that we don't take it seriously, but you want to enjoy yourself. Like the best years I've had as a coach, yes, we've had success for sure, but we've also enjoyed it a lot. And there's been years where we've been successful and, you know, that it hasn't been as enjoyable as some years where maybe we weren't as successful. But man, it was just fun coming to the gym every day.
Okay. This one you're going to have to say something, nice about us. So what are you looking forward to most with all the incoming players next year?
Well, part of the reason that I coach in the Junior Cougar program is to get to know the players. And this group coming in, I think I'm really looking forward to their work ethic and just, you know, again, I said it before, all of you, like I like the idea of coming to the gym every day and being around you guys. I enjoyed it when I coached Junior Cougars. I think it's just going to be a fun group and has the potential to really develop a lot. And, you know, there's a lot of things I have to work on, but I just love the work ethic. And so that's what I'm looking for. And Saskatchewan kids generally have that reputation just naturally, that their work ethic is very, very good. And so all of the kids we've recruited, you know, again, I'm going to walk in the gym and I'm going to see Maren there and Mattea there, and I'm going to enjoy that. And I'm going to have fun coaching them. I know they're going to work hard, and I'm just going to enjoy that process.
So going a little bit apart from basketball here, we're wondering how your daily routine has changed since quarantine kind of came up.
I'm walking way more. It's like I used to always go for my runs in the morning, and I still do, but now I just need a little bit of a break. I'm probably like I don't eat, what is it, every Sunday or whatever, it pops up on your screen time for the week, and I just ignore that now because it scares me. So I spent way more time on my computer. I never knew what a Zoom meeting was before about, you know, 2 months ago. There's been all kinds of good coaching clinics. So I've obviously, you know, I've got 3 kids, so I'm spending a lot of time with them. But my routine just basically is still taking care of my fitness, still getting better as a coach, still figuring out how to be better as a team. The only difference is some of my recruiting now. You know, you guys know I used to always come watch the Basketball Saskatchewan teams whenever. So obviously can't recruit as much. So there's been some really good things about it, you know, and it's made me appreciate a lot of the stuff that we have. But it's been nice spending time with my family. And again, just having that routine. But yeah, the one thing I do notice is for sure, I get out and walk a lot more, just for the mental side of more than anything.
Okay, this one's sort of a history question, or how did you get interested in coaching basketball? Because as far as I can remember, you didn't play basketball growing up, or like that wasn't your main sport. So how did basketball become the main thing?
Well, I'll correct you a little bit. I did play basketball growing up. I just wasn't very good. So I was never good enough to play university of that. And I always say, like, I'm the walking example of coaching, about take every opportunity and just do it as well as you can. So I started out teaching in a small town, coached everything. When I moved to Regina, I was literally playing pickup basketball, and somebody asked if they knew anybody who was interested in coaching high school girls team, and I volunteered when I was subbing, started coaching there. I coached high school for a few years. 24 years ago, when Christine Stapleton, who was a coach, a couple of coaches before, first got here, she was a young coach too, and I happened to meet her out somewhere through a bunch of friends, and she was only a year older than me, and she made the comment, hey, you know what, like, part of what I'm looking for is get other coaches involved. And I literally, this is how I got started coaching university. On I think it was a Saturday, I went down in the old university hallway and went and knocked on her door and basically said, hey, I coach at Martin. I'd be interested in helping coach, until our season starts if you need help. She already had an assistant coach, but she said, yeah. And I just stuck around, till I kept getting, the next year I was a full-time coach. And I was coaching for about, 7 years or so. I was coaching high school. I was an assistant coach at the university, and I was coaching provincial team. I was coaching 100 games a year. And then when Christine left after 9 years and we'd won a national title, I interviewed for the job. I actually didn't get it. And I was going to quit at that time, just coach high school. And I just got married. And then Jeff Speedy, who got the job, I went in just to say, hey, if you need any help on anything, let me know about the players, whatever. And we found out we had a lot of common ground, and he asked if I'd stick around. So I ended up sticking around for 4 more years. Still coached high school a bit then, but gave that up as we had our first child. And then when Jeff left after 4 years, I basically just got the job handed to me. I think Dick White, the athletic director at the time, just figured out if I was stuck around for 13 years, probably it was a good time to give me the job. And so now it's, 14 years later as a head coach, and I'm going into my 28th year. And as I said, I kept taking opportunities and making the most of it. But, I grinded too. Steve Burrows, who's the men's coach here now, we laugh because we used to both coach at Sheldon. We both coached provincial teams, and we were both assistant coaches at the university. We'd see each other driving back and forth. And so I always tell coaches, hey, take opportunities, coach as much as you can, and just learn. And don't worry about what's next. I backed into a lot of things, but it was a little bit luck, but it was also opportunity, and taking advantage of those opportunities. But thanks for that shout out that I wasn't very, wait till we play like shooting game or that this year, and then we'll see.
So our next question was, how did you get into university coaching? And you just answered that really well, just by being persistent and taking all your opportunities. So we'll let Maren say the next one.
Okay. How have players changed from when you first started coaching? Are they more coachable, less? What did you like then versus what do you like now?
Well, I say this, I think they're very different, and it's not worse or better. It's just different. And so players now, and social media and the cell phones have had such an impact on players. And I think now players have, as I said, they've grown up with maybe a greater understanding of the game, different stuff, but they also are really willing to work a lot too. And so they're as coachable for sure, 100%. I think the skill level's probably a little bit better for the game overall. I think back, and I'm going back, like, let's say 18, 20 years ago. I think players back then probably handled adversity a little bit better and kind of could grind through some things a little bit better. If I had one knock on players now, I think sometimes they don't handle adversity as well. They're not as equipped coming up. And, when they just haven't had to deal with adversity. When they first do, they need help with that. And so I always go, like, the players today and the players, when I started 28 years ago are same. They're wonderful, wonderful, wonderful to coach. They're coachable. They want to do well. It's more society has changed, and so that impact on them.
Okay, that's all the questions we have for you.
So but on behalf of Basketball Saskatchewan, I just want to thank Maren and Mattea for taking the time to do this. We really appreciate everything you did with the program. Dave, we're really grateful for all you've done with U of R. I'm a big fan, and hopefully I can watch all you guys play next year. So stay safe and we'll keep in touch.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me on.
Okay. All right. Take care.